natural and unexplained phenomena, spiritual activity, cryptids,
the future and the past,
conspiracies, beliefs and ancient remains. The radio program for you, the listener, in bringing your stories and concerns to the table. And now your host, Dave Cruz.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Strange. I am your host, Dave Cruz. And thanks for everyone for being here. This is the show for you, the listener. And tonight we have an amazing guest. I've been talking with this gentleman for a while. As a matter of fact, he's agreed to do an investigation with me this month. As a matter of fact, probably I think it's next week. And we're returning to the Lawler house. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. And the name of this gentleman is Mr. Paul Dale Roberts, the Demon Hunter, who has his own investigation company called HPI, Paranormal Investigations, Paranormal Investigators. So buckle up, everyone. It's going to get interesting. But first, we are live here on Google Hangouts, streaming from YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Strange Days 2015. The hashtag is #BeStrange with the letter B and then the word strange after that. We also have a Beyond the Strange Facebook page where I post most of the show's info and updates. There is a Google Plus account or page. It's at Beyond the Strange, the profile, and our email is beyondthestrange@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, please send it to beyondthestrange.com, or beyondthestrange@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get those questions and look up those people that you'd like to hear and get them on the show for you. We'll do our best. Check us out at Beyond the Strange website. It's at beyondthestrange.com. Keep checking for updates. There are links to our Facebook, YouTube channel, and Twitter accounts there as well. And finally, you can join the show with your Gmail account on the Hangouts on air or call in on Skype. The ID is Strange Days 2015. And I always like to start the show with a little bit of news, but first I'd like to bring in a little added bonus. He's I guess you can say a special guest. He's LJ3, Mr. Leslie Johnson. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great tonight, Dave. How are you feeling?
You know, I am not feeling the greatest, but feeling just a bit under the weather. But we're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna make it work, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'll be here anytime you ask. And I really do truly enjoy being on your show. Thank you very much for inviting me again.
Absolutely. And I always like, talking to you about all these different subjects and topics, man, because it just seems like, when you get a collective together, we get a lot more answers.
That's true. It's funny. I swear sometimes I really wish we could tape all the before and the after conversations we have, because we talk about some of the deepest, craziest stuff off air instead of on air. It really is crazy. So, do you have anything cool for us tonight on the news line?
Yeah, I have this weird, maybe even strange, if you will, beyond strange. A little bit of news. It's about paranormal activity. It's a person by the name of Simon Fraser, professor of studies, UFO and ghost and Bigfoot hunters, and it talks about here. And if you guys don't mind, I'll just read it from the page. It's on the eve of Halloween. Simon Fraser, university professor Paul Kingsbury, and two graduate students were along for a search for the mysterious inside a heritage house in the Fraser Valley. Unlike those who hunt for ghosts, Kingsbury hunts for the apparition hunters themselves. The associate professor in human geography is in the early days of a 4-year-long study into why people set off in search of the paranormal in BC and across North America. We'd really like to understand the motives of people joining these groups, Kingsbury told On the Coast host Stephen Quinn. Kingsbury said he is studying 3 groups: those who investigate ghosts or spirits, those who study UFO phenomena, and cryptozoologists, those who search for animals whose existence has not yet been proven, like Bigfoot. It's an interesting study, I guess, this gentleman is doing. It's not even on the paranormal, but on the investigators themselves.
Well, that could literally open up a brand new genre. Someone that is actually studying the psychology of the ghost hunters, the cryptid hunters, the UFO hunters, because as well as I do, we're not crazy. Most people that are conspiracy theorists and also UFO, crypto, everything that we talk about on this program, are usually very intelligent individuals.
Yes, I have to agree with that. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. And I think it's a cool study that people are actually doing this. Studying basically us. So the tables have turned, so to speak, and that'll be an interesting study to follow. Also, we have another article here: Autumn Oddities, area sites bound to paranormal lore. Talks about the Weld Hall MSUM at Minnesota State University. Weld Hall, the oldest building on the campus of Minnesota State University, Moorhead, is said to be home of the ghost of a workman who, one legend has it, died from a fall down a spiral staircase leading to the basement of the building. The spirit has reportedly been seen on the stage and elsewhere in the building, including in an elevator. The narrator of an online virtual tour of the MSUM campus says of Weld Hall, "Oh, and a little known fact about Weld Hall, according to the campus legend, it may be haunted." That's nice of them.
Uh-huh.
But Les, you do have a story you were wanting to share with me earlier, so you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and it's more conspiracy minded than dealing with the paranormal, which is our theme for the night. Kind of, being All Souls Day, the day after Halloween. It's kind of cool that we got Paul Dale Roberts on tonight.
Absolutely.
Actually, there was another shooting, and I hate to bring up horrible things like this, but it was in Colorado this time. It was in Colorado. It was, and this happens to be a place where they have legalized marijuana. Mm-hmm. And as well as I do that most of the studies dealing with marijuana are, it generally makes people more peaceful. There's actually a drop in the crime rates usually when it's legalized. That my friend did a study in high school back when it was still illegal everywhere in the United States, except for Alaska where you could still grow it. That the crime rate in Amsterdam because it was one of the only places in Europe that was legal. The crime rate was like 90%. It dropped almost 90% overnight when they made marijuana legal there.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, most drugs are actually, they will not prosecute you in Amsterdam for that, for any type of drug, believe it or not. But they will help you. But getting back to the point, I find it very strange, and that's what this show is all about, that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you have another shooting in Colorado, a place where normally you probably wouldn't have one. You know, is it a setup? Is it a setup just to, you know, is it a setup to try to repeal what the state's already done?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, Colorado just seems to be, unfortunately, a magnet for this type of activity, if you will. You know, it's really unfortunate that this, you know, keeps happening. You know, you had Columbine, you know, in the beginning, if
Right.
you will, and then you have the gentleman who came in during a Batman movie, with Aurora, and
Right.
you know, and it just seems to keep happening, and yeah, I'm wondering what's really happening in Colorado, you know, and
why would it be a
I
site
don't
for
know.
all these shootings exactly? Especially with, because I've met several people from Colorado, and it seems to be a very hip, very laid back kind of place, kind of state. It doesn't. Is there something paranormal going on there? Is there something, you know, mischievous being done by the government that they're setting this place up for that kind of thing? It just is it the altitude? I don't know. It's very strange to me, and it sets off alarm bells in my head. I'm not sure about you, brother.
No, I totally agree, and it would be interesting for someone to actually, like this one gentleman that's doing the studies on, you know, paranormal investigators, to actually do a study about all these. Well, you know, I'm sure the FBI and all those different, you know, agencies, three letters, are, you know, investigating all that, and I'm sure there's a lot of data on what's happening, and you know, it's but unfortunately we don't get to see that information. We don't get to see that stuff. So it is up to us to go out and, you know, make our own conclusions. But yeah, I wish I had an answer, and it's funny because you know, I'm even considering doing a geographical, you know, towards there. So it's definitely worth taking a look at and seeing what's happening there.
Well, you
But
know,
thanks.
the government always seems to pick up on places that have the weirdest paranormal activity, kind of like Skinwalker and you know, Bridgewater Triangle areas and different things like that, to actually do the research. We'll never see that research either.
I don't think so. And speaking of Skinwalker, our guest is waiting patiently, so let's go ahead and take our first break. And when we come back, we will be talking with Mr. Paul Dale Roberts. So please stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Remember what Professor Snidely, myself, always says. It's not the size of your brain that counts. It's the weight. And remember, Beyonders, listen to Beyond the Strange. Sundays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Do you believe in UFOs? Time travel? How about ghosts or Bigfoot? Greetings to all you Beyonders out there. This is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange. I wanted to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Beyond the Strange is not your typical podcast. We want to hear your stories and experiences. This is the radio program for you, the listener. We bring your stories and concerns to the table. So check us out live every Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, Beyonders believe. Welcome back, everybody. This is Beyond the Strange. I'm your host, Dave Cruz, and that was a little tidbit of my buddy Alan Hall from high school, and he is an amazing musician. So thank you, Alan, for giving us that bit of music. Also to Mr. Brian Anderson, of course. You can't mistake his voice from anywhere, and you can hear more of Brian at brianandersonvoice.com. So I just wanted to give him a little shout out there. And I see in the Twitterverse we have Mr. Spaceboy and Sirlana hanging out with us. So thanks, guys, for being here, and we appreciate you listening to the show. Thanks again. So let me go ahead and go into Mr. Roberts' bio here. Paul Dale Roberts, Demon Hunter, was born on January 17th, 1955 in Fresno, California. He has an associate degree in criminology. In 1977, Roberts was a firefighter with the California Division of Forestry, where he learned it was not his cup of tea. He is the owner of HPI, Halo Paranormal Investigations. In 2004, Roberts became a paranormal investigator, and with over 1,000 investigations under his belt and over 1,000 paranormal articles he has written, led him to be in 8 documentaries. From his History Channel's Monster Quest Mothman episode to Conversations of a Serial Killer by 4 productions of Showtime's Penn & Teller's Bullshext, Mayan Prophecy of 2012, to the 3 biography channels My Ghost Stories, to Mysteries of Angels and Demons by Ives Street Entertainment, To Michael Jackson, you are not alone in search of his spirit. Recently, Robert and his wife, Deanna Jackson Stinson, appeared on E! Chelsea Lately, May 8th, 2014 episode, and was featured on Perez Hilton Hollywood website. Robert is also a Fortean investigator in which he investigates all things paranormal from Mothman, Chupacabra, UFOs, crop circles, ghosts, poltergeists, demons, and more. Significant investigations by HPI are Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, Area 51, Charles Manson, planned murder case in Stockton, looking for Natalie Holloway's ghost in Aruba, UFOs and Bigfoot at Mount Shasta, and UFO and USOs at Monterey Bay. Investigations in Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Haiti, Panama, Paraguay, Czechoslovakia, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. In 2013, Roberts investigated Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador. In 2014, Roberts investigated Headless Knights Templar in Prague, Czechoslovakia. He has also published books, comic books, and various newspaper articles. And we will be talking to Mr. Roberts here in a second. Let's just go ahead and give him a call.
Hello.
Hey, Paul. This is Dave with Beyond the Strange. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, David. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, Mr. Roberts. Thank you very much. I'll just call you Paul if that's okay.
Yeah, Paul is fine, David. Yeah.
So I was just going over your bio, man. You've been busy, sir.
I have been busy. Yes. With the paranormal, but before the paranormal, I was doing comic books and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. So where would you like to begin? I mean, let's start from the beginning. I mean, is this something that has always been your fascination, even back when you were a child, or?
Sure. Back when I was a child, I was living on E.B.E Street in Fresno, and all kinds of weird things were happening to me. I was getting pushed into a heater. I was looking out the bedroom window, and a female was calling my name, and she was saying, "Dale, come here. Dale, come here." And she was trying to entice me to go into the orange grove. And I was being harassed by these spirits. I even saw this thing that looked like a flying skull that came into the bedroom. And then a multitude of flying skulls. And I was wondering as I got older if I was having childhood nightmares or what I was witnessing was actually paranormal. So I started reading a lot of books on the paranormal and became very well versed on the paranormal. And one of the things that really freaked me out about that experience on E.B.E Street is there was like this black teapot or tea kettle, and it was coming down the sidewalk, and you can hear the wheels, and my window opened up halfway, and hear this tea kettle thing floated up, and the snout of the tea kettle pointed towards me, and a mist hit me. And the next day, I was sick with pneumonia. And so, again, I don't know if that was a childhood nightmare or if that was something real. And another incident with the flying skulls that would come into the room, my mother came in, half sleepy, and gave me a teaspoon of poison, thinking it was cough syrup.
Oh, my God.
So then I started vomiting all this poison out after she realized what she did. So a lot of things, it seems like the entities were centered upon me. And what I learned was that children from the ages 1 to 8 usually have psychic abilities. That's why you hear about children talking to imaginary friends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an imaginary friend also that I always consulted and always talked to. And it was always pointed towards the lamp, towards my ceiling, but I would see this little face coming out from this lamp, this light fixture up on my ceiling. So anyway, I started reading all these books about the paranormal, and I was going, God, and I was still confused. Was it childhood nightmares, or really did I witness something paranormal?
Mm-hmm.
So in my lifetime, when I was 18, I joined the Army, and I got involved as an MP, military policeman, and then I got into the Criminal Investigation Division, and that helped me with my investigative skills on paranormal investigating, because here I was in Germany, and I was basically a narc, traveling throughout Germany and buying drugs off of GIs, and I was pretending to be a soldier who got out of the Army, and I'm a drug dealer myself. So that's how that thing got started. And so I traveled throughout Germany, testified at Article 32 in court-martials, and bought drugs. I even had to bust a guy over in Munich, and I had to pretend I was a pimp because he was a pimp. So I had these two MP girls, military police girls, who pretended to be prostitutes, while I became friends with this other pimp. And the reason why they were centered on him, because he had actually sold some heroin to some soldiers, and the heroin has strychnine, so something like 4 soldiers died. Oh, so they were really after him, and I managed to get him over in Munich. So anyway, besides the narc career, but then I got into military intelligence. So 73 to 76, I was in the CID, Criminal Investigation Division. And then 1979, I went back into the Army, and I joined military intelligence. I was a 97 Bravo, and that's an intelligence analyst. I had top secret SBI special background investigation clearance. And one of the things that inspired me to go into military intelligence is I was sitting in a movie theater, and I was watching a James Bond movie, and I said, it made me think, I said, what is it that those military intelligence guys did? So before I knew it, I was talking to an Army recruiter, and he built it up to like it was something really exciting. And it was exciting at a certain point, certain points of my career in military intelligence. And before I knew it, I was with the Photo Interpretation Center in Korea, and I was working with image interpreters. And the image interpreters, what they would do is look at North Korea, Red China, and they would tell you that a little dot on the map was a T-72 tank. So if they were looking at an aerial photograph or a satellite photograph, they could tell you a little dot is a T-72 tank, because they're looking at it with something that looks like a microscope. So anyway, it was a certain point in time, though, when I was with military intelligence, that was really freaked me out, because 6 photographs came in. And in those 6 photographs, on the back of each photo, it said intelligent movement. And they were from satellite reconnaissance photographs in outer space of what looked like UFOs. One was a globe shape, one was disc shape, one was a cigar shape, one looked like ball lightning, and it was 6 photos, and those 6 photos are a part of a bigger picture. Each photo represents video footage of that UFO. So that told me right there, even though that Project Blue Book closed down, military intelligence, and you're talking about the Navy, the Marines, Army, Air Force, are still all involved in studying or trying to find out what UFOs are. And maybe they know what UFOs are.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, yeah, my sinuses are really bothering me today.
It must be something in the air. Is this?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry to cut in, but is this your first experience with UFOs?
Well, actually, in 1976, I had a girlfriend named Helen Lane, and she was in the apartment, and she was screaming, and she said that there was a UFO 200 feet above her head. And at the time, the TV went into static mode, and I was watching Dick Van Dyke's The Comic. So when it was reported about the UFO, Dr. Alan Hynek, with an 800 toll-free number, took the report, and so that's what really made me interested in UFOs, and I got into military intelligence, and took it from there. And then after that, I started studying, UFOs, reading Eric von Daniken's Chariot of the Gods and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah, and that's an amazing book. And his discoveries is just like set the, basically, the pathway for all these other paranormal investigators and UFO hunters, and Von Daniken's the man. So,
and also too, like I was reading Brad Steiger's books, many of Brad Steiger's books, and at a very young age, at the age of 12, and I'm now in Brad Steiger's books. So that's a complete turnaround.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Really?
Yeah.
And how much more experience with the UFOs and all the other paranormal? It seems like it started in your military career. During your military career, I should say.
I mean, I always had a fascination with UFOs just by reading, let's say, Brad Steiger's books on Star Children and stuff like that. But I never thought I was going to actually experience, any UFOs or anything like that. And there was another incident that we had. It was in 1974, and that was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And I was walking with two other soldiers in the city of Columbia, and there were 6 UFOs in formation. There were blue discs. And one of the soldiers says, "Geese." I go, "That's not geese. I mean, they're glowing blue." And as we watched them, they all dispersed in different erratical movements at incredible speeds and took off. It was like, wow, So, and then later on in life, I learned that back in the 1970s, the East Coast on military installations, there was a lot of UFO activity. And one of the major ones that happened was in 1975 in Fort Benning, Georgia. And there's a book written about it. It's called Incident at Fort Benning. And the author, I became really good friends with, and I did an interview with. And but what happened was there was all these soldiers in formation who were having a training exercise, and then all of a sudden these UFOs appeared out of nowhere. And some of the soldiers were ordered to go ahead and fire at the UFOs, in which they did. The UFOs hovered over the soldiers. They all passed out, and before they knew it, they were actually abducted and found themselves inside the UFOs. And so the guy, the author, wrote a book about it, and it's called Incident at Fort Benning. And that happened in the 70s, same time when I saw my UFOs in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, on the East Coast. But David, I've been on something like now over 1,000 investigations. So when I got into the paranormal field, at some point in time, I didn't even believe that paranormal existed. I didn't believe in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one case in Citrus Heights, which I'll never forget. It's implanted in my brain. But there's a place in Citrus Heights and where I had 15 scouts, and scouts are ghost hunters in training. And I had 5 in one room, 5 in another room, and 5 in another room. And 10 of them in 2 rooms were falling asleep because nothing was happening. And the other 5 were all excited because they heard a little girl giggling.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I walked into the room, you can hear a little girl giggling with your own ears. And I heard it again, and I said, well, she's right in front of me. She's on the corner of this bed. I can't see her, but I can hear her. And she giggles again, and I placed my head close to where I heard the giggle, and I said, hello. And she goes, hello, clearer than day. And that totally freaked me out. I said, oh, my God. I said, okay, let's get all 15 people in here. We conducted a little seance. During the seance, the walls sounded like they were ripping apart. There was
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Mr. Roberts. Let's stand by for just a moment. Okay, we got some of them ghosts and gremlins going on in the cellular universe. I believe we have Mr. Roberts back, and he's ready, so let's go ahead and give him a call.
Oh, here we go. Hello?
Paul, you okay?
Hey, yeah. So we got lost there, huh?
Just for a brief moment, but thank you for being available again. We appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I was talking, and I said, well, I don't hear David in the background. It's like, okay. David, are you there?
No. Gotta love live radio.
I'm talking to dead air. Yeah, I'm talking to dead air. So where was I?
Well, we were talking about the little girl and
Okay.
how you finally came to believe that there really are spirits.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, so anyway, this house is precise. So I have 15 scouts, ghost hunters in training. So I have 5 in one room, 5 in another room, 5 in another room. 10 of them in 2 rooms are falling asleep because nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other 5, there was all kinds of excitement going on because they can hear a little girl giggling. So as soon as I walked in, I heard the girl giggling. I said, "Can you hear that?" And they go, "Yeah, we're recording it." I said, "That's amazing." And
Wow.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, you know, I heard the girl giggle again, and I said, "She's right in front of me on the corner of this bed. I can't see her, but she's right there on the corner of the bed. I can hear her giggle." And she giggles again. I put my head down towards the giggle, and I go, "Hello," and she goes, "Hello," and I go, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
So anyway, I got all 15 people into that room, and we conducted a little seance. And so during the seance, the walls sounded like they were ripping apart. It sounded like something out of Hellraiser where the Cenobites are coming right through the wall.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden a series of hard knocks on the wall. And all 15 people are running out the door. And I said, "You guys got to get back in here. We got to reconvene, get this started again. This is a breakthrough." So we reconvene. We have 3 walkie-talkies on the floor, and they're all on the same channel. And one of the walkie-talkies turns on, and it's a man's voice, and he goes, "Get out!" And all 15 are running out the door again. That's when the occupant looks at me. She goes, "Paul," she goes, "I have to live here." She goes,
Yeah.
"Maybe you should send him home." I go, "Okay, I'll send him home." And she goes, "You're welcome to stay in this bedroom." So I stayed in the bedroom all night. They had a video camera running, and you can hear a little boy moaning at the foot of the bed. You can hear a woman say, "Paul, Paul, Paul." And you can hear a man chatter, but you can't understand what he's saying. And you can hear a small tapping on the headboard, and I slept through the whole thing.
Wow.
But it made me a believer in the paranormal.
Yeah, it would definitely make me a believer. That's intense. Well, I mean, I've pretty much always believed, you know, in spirits and in the paranormal, you know, UFOs and everything all my life. But that is definitely a confirmation that you got.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, because I was getting very disappointed. I go, I don't believe in the paranormal. And they said, "Well, Paul, you listen to this EVP." I said, "That could be a voice from another room." So I was very doubtful on a lot of the evidence that we were getting. But like I said, the Citrus Heights made me a believer. And also too, just recently we did Good Day Sacramento, and Deanna, my wife, Deanna Jackson Stinson. Anyway, we're at this investigation with Good Day Sacramento, and as soon as she walks up, on the second floor on the stairwell, she goes, "I envision." She goes, "I'm seeing a woman of Native American descent, a very large woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing her right in this area." Well, right in that area was a cabinet. Okay, Deanna's never been in that house before. And there's a cabinet, and inside the cabinet is the ashes of that lady's grandmother, who happened to be a very large woman of Native American descent.
Wow.
And, yeah, and Good Day Sacramento goes, "Deanna, you've never been in this house before?" And Deanna goes, "No, I've never been in this house before." But she's really good at picking up stuff. And we had a UFO ghost case at a private residence in Colfax. And Gianna gets over there and she goes, "There's something burning my leg. There's something burning my leg. Take a photo of my leg." And so, like, we had 2 cameras. We're taking a photo of her leg, and there's this black thing hovering over her leg. And it shows up in both photos on 2 different cameras. So that was confirmation of something paranormal happening to Deanna. And another time, we're doing an investigation, and that's in the town of Pioneer. And she goes, Paul, you should be recording right now. I go, why? She goes, the entity's actually talking to me right now. So I start recording, and I get a man's voice, E.B.E, electronic voice phenomenon. And I go, wow. So Deanna's actually proven herself many times over. So it's like, wow, you know. And if she doesn't feel it, she's not going to talk about it. But if she feels it, she's going to definitely talk about it. So,
and that's actually one of the. I'm sorry if you don't mind. That's actually one of the questions from one of our friends from the show, Allison Bell, had. She wanted to know if you were psychically sensitive or clairsensitive or audience sensitive. But it sounds like Deanna is as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I may have had psychic abilities. That's why I was experiencing all those things when I was a child. But at the age of 8, I lost everything. So I don't have any type of psychic abilities. But my wife, Deanna, she has all kinds of psychic abilities. I mean, she calls herself sensitive, and she kind of downplays on her abilities, but I've seen her do some amazing things with her abilities. So she downplays it she says, I'm a sensitive, and she doesn't call herself a psychic. But I consider her as a psychic because of all the amazing things that she has done. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, she is incredible.
And why do you think you lost those abilities after you started getting older?
Well, I think what happens is some people block it out, and Deanna, she didn't block it out. So she just kind of ran with it, and to this very day, she still has that ability. And we can be driving down someplace, you know, and she'll be talking about Britney Spears or something like that. Then all of a sudden she gets quiet, and I said, what's going on? She goes, I detect a presence. And that presence coming from this location, I'm seeing this person. And so she'll actually visualize the ghostly apparition at some certain area. I can't wait to take her to the Lawler Art Gallery.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about that earlier at the beginning of the show, and I still have yet to submit my report, and I do have video and audio recordings that I'd love to share with you, and I'm going to put those up on my YouTube channel at Beyond the Strange, the YouTube, and that way you can see what I captured.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to.
Just put the link in there.
Yeah. I'd love to meet her, and I'm sure you two have definitely come across a lot of experiences that are just amazing. Do you still have any other anything you want to talk about as far as the Good Day investigation, or would you like to talk about the Cache Creek Casino, the Padawan Indian Ghost?
Just kind of asking around, talking to different people over there. They see an Indian in the lobby late at night sometimes, you know, or some people just, you know, with their peripheral vision, they'll see an apparition walk through the lobby. And this one lady, Susan McCormick, she was in the elevator, and she felt a presence behind her, and she saw an Indian man with black piercing eyes in some strange Indian garb staring at her. Yeah, the only thing is Cache Creek, you'll never get an EVP there because it's too noisy with all the slot machines banging along, you know. Yeah, and if you stay there too late, then you got the entertainers busy singing and everything else. You got people talking, You know, you would never get any kind of evidence over there. Well, maybe some photographic evidence, but then security won't allow you to take pictures. So, yeah, you'll never really get, unless you're doing the outside of the casino, then possibly you can get a ghostly apparition of some of the ghosts that hang out on the outside of the casino. You know, but I've done a lot of different cases, David. I investigated the ghost of Nellie Holloway. Nellie Holloway, the victim.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she was
You
killed in
travel a
Aruba.
lot. You travel a lot. Reading your bio, I mean, you were in Czechoslovakia and Aruba and Haiti. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about the Holloway case.
Yeah. When I went to Aruba, it was kind of amazing because I got there and I went with this other guy. He went to Aruba also too by himself, and I went by myself. And I was hearing stories about people who saw a blonde-haired phantom woman on the beach, and could that possibly be Natalie Holloway?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, when I go to Aruba, I'm going to actually investigate that. But I'm going to have to make some friends and get some information and find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. So when I first arrived to Aruba, there was another guy that came on the same airplane as me, and he would hang out at the bar at the hotel. And it seemed like every single night he was at the same bar at the hotel, drinking, and wasn't socializing with anybody. And I said, well, I can't do that. I have to socialize. I have to find out what's going on, because if I'm going to do a proper investigation on this Natalie Holloway ghost, I'm going to have to talk to people. So I walked into one of the clubs out there, and I saw 3 female bartenders. And I looked around, no one knew me. And I said, well, I got to get to know them. So I walked over to the bartenders, and I said, look, my name is Paul Roberts. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm here to investigate the ghost of Natalie Holloway, and I need to get some information. Well, they didn't believe me, so I pulled out my business card, showed it to them, and I said, do you have the internet? And they said, yeah, we have the internet right here at the bar. I said, if you pull up this, you can actually watch a documentary that I did, Penn and Teller's BS on the apocalypse of 2012. I said, you can actually watch me on this documentary. And so they actually pulled it up, and people at the bar started watching it because the TV faced the bar, and they can actually watch the documentary, and they go, hey, it's that guy right there. So before I knew it, I had all these people talking to me, and I said, yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator, da-da-da, and I need to get some information. So come to find out, some of the people there actually knew the suspect. And they were saying that he actually gave her a roofie at the nightclub. They showed me where the nightclub was. He gave her a roofie. She was knocked out. He got into a car with 2 of his buddies. He was driving the car, and then he told his 2 buddies to get out of the car. And they got out of the car, and he drove down to the beach, and he proceeded to sexually assault her, but then she started throwing up. So then he backed off, and before he knew it, she was going into convulsions, and from the convulsions, she just died, or he thought she was dead. So he panicked, contacted his father. His father came out there and picked up Natalie in his boat and dumped her into the ocean. And theory is that Natalie was still alive when he dumped her into the ocean. Now, Now, David, I got all this information from the people I was talking to at the bar. And I said, oh, my God, this is some good information. So I recorded their names. I had their names, their story, that they knew the suspect. And that's why his dad was being investigated, because his dad was involved. He took Natalie in that boat and dumped her in the ocean. That's why they couldn't find her. So I gave all that information to the Aruba police.
Right.
And, yeah, and nothing really came about. I mean, I don't know if, because the report that I gave them is the reason why they detained the suspect's father. But, yeah, I don't know if that originated from me or somewhere else, but that was so crazy. But anyway,
that's very possible.
Back to, yeah. So back to her ghost. So anyway, so they told me they showed me areas on the beach where possibly Natalie could have died, where the suspect could have possibly took her. So we went to one area. I tried to get some EVPs, and 15 people showed up on the beach. 15 people to watch me try to get an EVP of Natalie Holloway. So I said, okay, I got a whole team right here. And so anyway, I attempted getting an EVP in one location, nothing. I go to another location, nothing. Several attempts, nothing. And then one other location, and I get an EVP of a woman saying, help me. And I place that EVP on YouTube, on the internet, and it got around all over the place. It pretty much went viral because Coast to Coast AM even published it. So it was a really interesting story. It was really odd. Here I got this female saying, help me on the beach. So was that Natalie Holloway? I don't know, but it was sure interesting to get something like that. So, and that was after many, many attempts. And so, so that was my case with Natalie Holloway. I've done I've done numerous cases. We've been to Skinwalker Ranch, and we did Area 51. I mean, we didn't go inside Area 51, but we did the outside perimeters of Area 51.
Would you be willing to do a Q&A in a little bit? We're going to go to our next break, and when we come back, we can get into the Skinwalker Ranch and that, and then maybe a little bit later we can do a Q&A from our audience, if that's okay with you, Mr. Roberts.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to our second break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more with Paul Dale Roberts. So don't go away.
Yo. Is this thing on? Beyonders, believe. Stay strong, Beyonders. Hey. Are you bored with your Sunday nights? Looking for something different? A show that's for you, the listener? Tune in Sunday evenings, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, to Beyond the Strange.
And welcome back, everybody. This is Beyond the Strange. I am Dave Cruz, your host, and we are talking with Mr. Paul Dale Roberts, the Demon Hunter. Thanks again, Paul, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and everything has been fascinating so far. Thank you very much.
Sure, not a problem. I was just talking to my wife, Deanna, and she says, we're also, too, we're paranormal authors. So we have, between me and Deanna, we have about 73 books out there. So she's actually allowing people to upload some of her ebooks for free, and it deals with some of our paranormal cases. So her website is www.teardropsofanangel.com. www.teardropsofanangel.com, and you can see some of her paranormal books, and you can upload them for free.
Awesome, and we'll get that information and links. Also, we are still working on our webpage, but we will definitely get those links on there, and whatever we find, we can put those in our Facebook and also in our Twitter. Do you have a Twitter account by any chance?
I do, but I don't actually go on it. I actually let another person kind of update it, and they place my story links on there and stuff like that. But I do have a website where all my paranormal stories are, and you can find all 1,000 of my paranormal stories at www.jazmaonline.com. JAZMA online.com. And so, yeah, you'll see over 1,000 stories on there. So.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll get our website all updated, and we'll definitely have your links up there, Paul. Skinwalker Ranch, you mentioned that, and it's in your bio. We're dying to hear about Skinwalker Ranch. I have like 2 or 3 people asking about it. How did you get involved in that?
Well, I was always fascinated with Skinwalker Ranch because the Gormans, who actually owned the ranch and got it popularized with all the paranormal activity that was happening there, the Gormans claimed that they saw this wolf that was chewing on the leg of one of their calves. And the father and son came out there and they started shooting at this wolf. And the bullets were basically bouncing off the wolf. So it was the bulletproof wolf. And another incident that happened at Skinwalker is the Gormans saw this RV on their dirt road. And as I'm actually coughing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So anyway, they saw this RV on the dirt road, and it was going away from them. And it was driving away, and as they were watching the RV, all of a sudden it morphs into a UFO and zips off. So they saw that, and they started having poltergeist activity. They started seeing shadow people at Skinwalker Ranch, or the Gorman Ranch. So the valley itself has always been known as having paranormal activity. UFOs are seen, there's ghostly activity and everything else. And the Indians consider it as sacred ground. So at some point in time, this scientific group that is funded by the government bought the ranch. And the scientific group, I think their acronym is NES, and that stands for National, gosh, I forget what it stands for, but they believe that that scientific group, they believe they believe that scientific group was actually at one time the OSIR, the Office of Scientific Investigation Research. And the OSIR actually became very popular with Dan Aykroyd when they had a show called Sci Factor. And it's a very secretive group. They were supposed to study the environment, but what happened is they started studying things that are happening on the paranormal level on our environment. And they believe the OSIR, which now has another name, which I can't think of, bought the ranch. So, and one of the scientists who actually stays there said that they actually witnessed a portal open up, and from the portal, inside that portal, was a Bigfoot, and this, or a Sasquatch, and this Bigfoot creature came out of the portal and ran into the woods. And my theory has always been that Bigfoot or Sasquatch are interdimensional beings. That's why we can't catch them. And that would make sense that they would come out of a portal and run off into the woods, because they go from our reality to their own reality. And that's why you hear like some of the hunters who have actually shot at Bigfoot, and they say that they disperse into thousands of sparks. Well, it's probably because they're interdimensional, they're an energy creature. But anyway, because of Skinwalker Ranch being so fascinating as it is, and the stories I just told you, I decided to take a small team with me to the Skinwalker Ranch. So, traveling to Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, it was a long, long, long drive, because you got to go through Nevada and into, I believe it took me into Colorado, into Utah, and it's in Utah. So, but that's a long stretch of a drive. I mean, oh my God. And during our drive over there, we kept on seeing this one station wagon that the guy, this one station wagon, and the guy had like little tiny bones on pieces of string circling inside of his car, and feathers and all this other stuff. So, and one of the things we kept on saying is this guy's a serial killer. And every time we stopped to get gas or something, then he passed us by. He passed us by maybe 4 times, and it became very comical, because it almost seemed like he was following us. But anyway, when we finally got to Skinwalker Ranch, there was this huge, huge storm. I mean, it was just like thunder and lightning and lots of lightning. So we finally get there to that valley. We didn't actually see the Skinwalker Ranch itself, but we got to the valley. We're setting up the tent. I must have fell in the mud 1,000 times over. And we heard a strange screeching coming out from the valley. Really odd. I mean, it's no animal that I've ever heard of. And I try to record it. But the only thing is, because of the rain and the heavy rain, all I got was pitter-patter of the rain. And some point in the night, we saw, and this is the first time I ever experienced anything like this, but it's not paranormal, but I saw ball lightning. It seemed like the clouds actually opened up, huge lightning ball hits the ground. It seemed to roll a little bit and then disperse into all kinds of sparks or whatever. And I've never seen anything like that, but I consider that as ball lightning, which is actually a natural explanation for that. So the next morning, we're planning to stay up there for 5 days. Next morning, one of the paranormal investigators caught pneumonia. And So she was like deathly sick. So
Oh,
we had to
jeez.
drive back home. And that was the end of our experience at Skinwalker Ranch.
That is crazy.
So,
That ball of lightning that you saw, would you consider it an orb, or would you actually consider it a ball of lightning?
I consider it, well, like you could say an electrical orb, because it was round. But yeah, it was just like a huge energy ball. It was very bright. Yeah, it just came out of the sky and hit the ground and dispersed into a million sparks.
Wow, that's amazing. And I don't want to sound insensitive or anything, but I hope the partner that was with you guys at Skinwalker is doing better. I hope nothing happened.
Oh yeah, they recovered, and Skinwalker Ranch happened a long time ago anyway. So, but yeah, they definitely recovered from that experience.
Yeah, and this animal that has been seen around Skinwalker Ranch, it seems like a lot of people have seen the same wolf-like dog spirit, if you will. Didn't have like a legs and had red eyes and that sort of thing. Did you guys happen to catch anything on film or video?
No. That storm was too heavy. Yeah, it was impossible to capture anything on film or video. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
But one of the things that we do in our investigation, though, is like a lot of people, they get pictures of orbs, right? And orbs can be almost anything. It could be skin flakes, it could be dust, it could be lint, it could be light refractions, it could be dewdrops. I mean, it could be almost anything. So how do you prove that an orb is paranormal? And what we do is we try to show that orb has intelligent movement. So there was a case example that we had where one of our investigators said, Paul, the entity called Emily is draining me. I feel completely drained.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was sitting on the couch. And I said, okay. And three of us were taking pictures of this investigator. And I said, Emily, if you're here, appear by his head. And so we snap a photo and we get an orb on top of his head. Okay, so I said, Emily, if you like him, I said, kiss him. So we snap a photo and the orb is now on his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed right there intelligent movement. So something like that I can deem as paranormal.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So, yeah. So that's what I try to do. So we go on investigations. We'll say take some pictures of some orb. And I'll have one of the investigators place our hand up against the wall. And I said, okay, if you're listening to me, appear by the investigator's hand. Here's his hand. Appear by his hand. And so we'll snap a photo, and the orb is right by his hand. So that shows intelligent movement. And another thing we do, we'll get what is called designer orbs. Mm-hmm. And designer orbs have intricate type designs inside of it. And if you enhance it or enlarge it, you'll get, sometimes you can make out a face in it. Well, anyway, so one time over at Del Paso Heights, I'm snapping a photo in the backyard, and I get these two large designer orbs. So I enhance them, and you can make out the faces of two dogs. So I go back to the occupant, and I asked her, I said, what is it you have in your backyard? And she goes, I have orange trees. And I go, you got orange trees. Okay, I know that. I said, what else do you have back there? And she says, I have two dogs buried back there. I go, great. I mean, I'm very sad about that, but You know?
Right. No, I understand.
said, yeah. But look at these photos of the 2 designer orbs that I took from your backyard. So she looks at the orbs, and she starts crying. I go, why are you crying? She goes, those are my 2 dogs. So I could deem that as, I could deem that as paranormal because she's confirming those are her dogs. And the faces look like dogs. And have you ever heard of living ghosts?
I have not heard that term.
Okay. Living ghosts, okay. Let me give you a case example. Okay. In 1974 in Chicago, Illinois, and we've had some of these type of cases, okay. But anyway, in Chicago, Illinois, in 1974, this couple moves into this home. And around about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, they will see a man materialize and walk over towards the couch, and a woman would materialize. And the man would start slapping the woman.
Oh,
and
man.
They would watch it. Yeah, they would watch this, and then all of a sudden it just faded out. And next night or whatever, or 2 nights later, it would happen again. The man would materialize, walk over to the couch, and start slapping on the woman, just slapping her.
Oh, my God.
So that right there tells me, that's residual haunting. That's the ghosts are not intelligent. They're not recognizing the occupants, but they're doing something every night because there was a violent activity there. The man is hitting the woman. So one day, they go down to the block party, and they're having a big barbecue and everything. They're talking to the host of this block party. He says, yeah, we do this every year. And he goes, look at some of the pictures from our past events.
Mm-hmm.
So they start looking through the photo albums, and all of a sudden they come across the man and the woman. And they said, oh, my God. The woman goes, oh, my God, those are the ghosts in our house.
Mm.
And the host looks, and he goes, what? He goes, those are the ghosts in your house? He goes, let me take a look at, he goes, well, that's really strange because they did live in your house.
Right.
There was a lot of police activity over there because there was a lot of domestic abuse.
Sure.
So the police were always over there. They got a divorce. The woman lives 5 blocks down from here, and the husband moved out of state. They're divorced, and they're very much alive. That's the case of the living ghost. Mm. The people are still alive, but their energy, that negative energy that they put out into the atmosphere, the man hitting the woman, still exists and plays over and over and over again as residual energy. And they're
like
very much alive. Exactly. Right. In some of our cases, it's not that they're ghosts that are people that are dead and they came back. It's people who are alive, but they've left so much negative energy in the house, it replays itself over and over again. And the people think they're actual ghosts, but yeah, they are ghosts. They're residual ghosts of people who are still alive.
That is fascinating, man. And, that would just be so crazy to see. I mean, Paul, you must have seen, you got over 1,000 under your belt. So, I can't even imagine. I wish we could get it all in tonight, but I know we won't be able to. But would you be willing to take Q&A now?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
All right, great. And we have a question through the Twitterverse, and we have Nancy who wants to know how to join an investigation that lives in the area. And I believe she lives in the area.
Oh, she lives in my area.
Yes.
She can hit me up on Facebook, and I can send her a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can go to, if it's not a closed investigation, she's very much welcome to join us. We have the, in fact, the one that you're going to be at, the Lawler Art Gallery,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see why that's not an open investigation, because
That's true.
it's open. Yeah, it's open to the public, so anybody's welcome to go to that, and let her know she can go to that.
Yes,
And that's not very far.
Yeah, she's a friend, and we can definitely communicate that. And would that be your next investigation that's on the calendar?
I have an investigation actually. They just came up, and it's going to be in Marysville this Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I have that one. It just got on the calendar. In fact, if you look at the schedule data, you'll see it.
Okay.
But Marysville is probably too far for you.
Not that far. Believe me, I've been all over Northern California and then some.
Yeah.
So I know
Okay.
I know it like the back of my hands, and no place is too far for me. And she is a sensitive person to spirits, and I would say even a medium. So it would be very, very great to have her join us.
Oh, fantastic. Well, definitely invite her to the Lawler Art Gallery. I think that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. As the questions come in, I have a question for you. And you'll actually hear it in my report. But when I did first went and investigated the Lawler house, it was actually just kind of a drive-by. I was just going by to check it out, and I didn't expect to stumble onto what I found there. And I went up into a part of this house, and it was upstairs, and I noticed I started feeling almost sick, and I went to another place, and I started feeling better, and when I went back to that certain spot, I started feeling sick again, and I went downstairs, and sure enough, I felt great. And I don't chalk it up to going up the stairs and feeling like I'm gonna have a heart attack or anything. I was sick, and then when I got back downstairs, I spoke to the patron of the place, and she says, like, I don't go up there.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
Well, it seems like there's something really very heavy over there. I mean, it sounds like it could probably be a dark entity, is an entity that's malicious. So, which causes that type of problem. So it'll be very interesting when we get over there and find out what's going on, because I need to physically be there to investigate to find out exactly what's going on.
No,
or something bad could have happened there, which also too causes that negative feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I didn't necessarily expect, and the information that I got about the place and about the little girl who appears once in a while because she likes the statues at the art gallery on the outside. She's not seen on the inside; she's seen on the outside. But there is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Beck that apparently he's haunted not only that building, but there is a building next door. It's a theater. So I've heard this before. I mean, spirits don't just stick around in one spot. They can move around.
Right. Yeah. Well, like some parapsychologists, they theorize that, that the reason why you have ghosts is because they have unfinished business, so they stick around. Or it could be the grandmother who sees that her grandbaby is born and says, I want to stick around. I'm not going to go into the light because I want to watch over this baby. So I want to be an angel to the baby, so I'm not going to go into the light. And that they have that option of going into the light. And what they say is, what happens is like maybe angels or the ghost police or whatever says, okay, if you don't want to go into the light, when you're ready, go into the light. But if you're not ready, you're sort of stuck here in this house. There's going to be an energy grid around this house, and you're not going to be able to pass that energy grid unless you take an object that belongs to that deceased person, let's say grandma's diary, and you bring it to your house. Well, now you open up a portal from point A to point B being your house, where the ghost can now go from where it died at to your house, because you now are in possession of her diary. And that's how a ghost moves around. And they say a demon, on the other hand, with the blink of an eye, a demon can travel from San Francisco to Hong Kong in the blink of an eye. It has access to go anywhere it wants to in the world, while a ghost is more restricted. So, but this is the theory of parapsychologists. It's not proven, but that's what, they theorize on.
That's fascinating. I never heard that about demons, and we could definitely talk about that too. But why don't we take our last break, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and start taking more questions, and that would be great if you can answer those. We're talking with Paul Dale Roberts. This is Beyond the Strange. I am Dave Cruz, your host, and we will be back after this.
Are you bored with your Sunday nights? Looking for something different? A show that's for you, the listener? Tune in Sunday evenings, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, to Beyond the Strange. And welcome back. This is Beyond the Strange. I'm your host, Dave Cruz, and we are speaking with
Paul Dale Roberts, the Demon Hunter. And again, Paul, thank you very much for coming on the show. Would you like to go ahead and give us your website and information that people can reach you at?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you two website addresses. The first one is my wife's, Deanna, and you'll see the ebooks up there in which you can upload. And her website is www.teardropsofanangel.com. www.teardropsofanangel.com. And my website it's very interesting because I used to be in the comic book business, so some of the comic book people are still on there. So you'll see comic book reviews and interviews with comic book creators and stuff. But also, too, if you go into HPI, Haunted Paranormal Investigations, you'll see the 1,000 stories with videos and evidence and EVPs that you can listen to. And it's all in that one section, and that's www.jazmaonline.com. JAZMA online.com.
Excellent.
And you'll see all our paranormal adventures right there. And if you have if you need help, you have paranormal activity in your house. We also too do blessings. Deanna does a Palo Santo saging, and I do a Roman Catholic blessing of the house. And you can call us on the paranormal hotline at 916-203-7503. 916-203-7503. And also too, we also do another service for people. And I don't think you can find any paranormal group out there that does this.
Okay.
But besides the fact that we do a Roman Catholic house blessing, we also do a Baptist baptism. And a baptism is a basic form of exorcism. So if someone comes up to you and says, Paul, or they say, David, I have an attachment. Terrible things are happening to me. I have something talking to me in my left ear. It's telling me to commit suicide. I feel like I have an attachment. Well, as a ghost hunter, what do? Okay? And not too many people know what to do. Well, that person needs to be fully submerged in water. They need to be baptized. That's a basic form of exorcism. And as soon as you baptize them, that attachment will leave. And a lot of people don't know that. Or, and if they're not comfortable of having the investigator baptizing them, then they need to go to a pastor and get baptized. And that's what the whole purpose of a baptism is to cleanse the soul or cleanse the body. So, cleanse the body, mind, and soul. And so if you have an attachment, that's how to get rid of it.
That's the first time I've heard of that. And it seems like an effective way to go. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
We have our friend of the show, Leslie Johnson. I think he spoke. As a matter of fact, he spoke to him yesterday during our sound check.
Right.
He said that he has a couple of questions he'd like to ask you. Les, you want to go ahead and talk to Paul Dale Roberts?
Hey, Paul. Nice to talk to you again. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, great. Just have a couple questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. You had talked earlier about the time you were 8 years old and you thought you were, or you believed you were psychic before then, but lost it.
Right.
Do you think something in particular happened to lose that, or do you think you actually just blocked it out?
I think I just blocked it out. Well, one thing is I was so frightened to what I was witnessing and experiencing, so I never wanted that to happen again, so I basically blocked it out. And they say that a lot of people, well, a lot of children, parapsychologists say that children from ages 1 to 8 that have those psychic abilities at their age of 8, they block it out for some reason. They don't want to see the man underneath the bed anymore. You know,
Well,
so they start blocking it out. Yeah.
and it makes a lot of sense, actually, Paul, because when you're a child, you don't have boundaries. When and when you're starting to get older, you tell mom and dad you're seeing this stuff, and they don't see it along with you. It's just easier to block out because, rather than having your parent go, no, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? Also,
right. And that's how my parents were. Yeah.
I gotcha. I know a couple other people like that, actually, that's happened to. Second question, Paul. Have you ever heard of Paul Eno before?
I'm sorry. What's the name?
Paul Eno, E-N-O.
It sounds familiar. Who is Paul?
He's done a lot of stuff with the Bell Witch. I believe he's also got.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And have you ever heard of his theories on the varying ranges of parasites, and that they're the reason we have hauntings, we have possessions, that they're just another form of they're another alternate dimension form of life, and they form attachments?
I haven't heard that theory. No.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if you were familiar with it or not, because when you said that person, it felt all their energy had kind of been drained out. It's very interesting, actually. It's something you might want to look into. For my final question, Paul.
And also too, the Warrens, they came up with the concept of oppression, obsession, and possession when you're dealing with a demonic entity. So it sounds like he's falling into that line of thought, like the Warrens.
Yeah, I believe he actually worked with them for a little while before he went on his own.
Okay.
And I guess the last question I had for you, you said you do like a Roman Catholic blessing and such. Are you like a deacon in the church?
No. I'm not ordained at all.
Okay.
I consulted 2 priests, and one of my priests, he would just sit there and smoke a cigarette, and very frank guy. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, he had a book on the shelf, and it was talking about blessing homes." I said, "Can I read that book?" He goes, "Why, Paul?" He goes, "You're never going to bless a home." I said, "Well, can I just read it anyway?" So he loaned me the book, and then I just asked him different things, and I said, "Can anyone bless a home?" He goes, "As long as you have the faith," he goes, "Yeah, actually anybody can bless a home." And but I mean, priests and bishops and the Pope or whatever would probably frown upon it. But if you have the faith, you're calling upon angels, you're doing this blessing of the home, and the angels are listening, they're going to help you out. And when I started blessing homes, doing it the Catholic way, I said to myself, if I'm not successful, I'm going to stop. And to my amazement, blessing these homes, I had people call me, they go, "Paul, I can now sleep. The atmosphere, it's just really calm, and it's clear, and everything. You've got rid of the entities." I go, "You're kidding me." They go, "No, you really did. You got rid of the entities." And I go, "Wow." And so I've been doing it ever since. And then I was thinking, baptism, a fully submerged baptism, is a basic form of exorcism. So I said, okay, let me try that. When I hear about people that have attachments, let me give it a shot. I said, if it doesn't work, I'll never do it again. So I started doing baptisms. And then I had people who tell me I got rid of their attachment. So I've been doing that too. So because of my success rate on it, I continued doing it. So, yeah.
And you brought up a very good point, Paul. Faith, no matter which faith that is a very powerful thing. Thank you very much for answering my questions, and thank you very much for showing up on the program. You have a great night, Paul.
Oh, absolutely. You have a wonderful night.
Great questions, Les. Thank you very much. Yeah, Allison Bell, she also agrees, and she calls that a purification of the house when you do that baptism. So that's pretty amazing. We have another friend of the show, Nurse Nancy. She actually Nancy, and that asked about the investigation, joining the investigation. She wants to know, how much does Native American shamanism play in your investigations?
Well, at one time I had 43 investigators. It's down to maybe about maybe 5 investigators now. But I actually had a real Indian shaman in the group, and I still have access to him. So in case of an emergency, we have something that deals with Native American Indians, I can still contact them through a former investigator. I also, too, had Apache Indians. I had Maidoc Indians, and I had, what was the other Indian? But anyway, they used to do Indian-type cleansings. And in fact, my wife has a little bit of Apache in her. So we do have access when things like that come about. We do have that resource.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got a question from our producer, Holographic. She wrote it out a while ago, but I wanted to bring it up. How do you protect yourself, your home, or your family from invading entities?
Well, I've actually brought in some haunted objects from different households, and it seems like my house will be haunted for a couple days or whatever. But it seems like entities don't really like me. We actually get EVPs in which the entities actually call me by name, and they basically say that they don't like me, and that they don't want to go into the light and everything else, and that's what they do. So, and people called me the demon warrior because I started doing the Roman Catholic house blessings, and I did baptisms and stuff like that, and started taking on demonic cases while other ghost hunting groups were not doing them. So I was actually doing them. So anyway, and I became the demon warrior. But anyway, it seems like entities don't really like being around me. So with the objects that I brought in the house would be haunted for a while, things would happen, and then things would stop. And then I would conduct my own investigation in the house to see if I could pick up on anything, and I don't get nothing. So it's like, yeah, they actually don't like me.
Well, I can understand why. I mean, they don't. They're kind of like, you're like the Orchid Man. So.
Yeah.
So what other projects do you have in the future besides the Lawler House and the Marysville one coming up?
Well, I had all these projects, and I finally got them under my belt. We just did a documentary with Asylum Studios. Asylum Studios is the ones that did Sharknado. They did that movie Sharknado. Yeah. Well, they got a TV series coming out in January or February called Celebrity Mysteries. They're going to do O.J. Simpson. They're going to do, what was that lady's name that looked like Marilyn Monroe, but she overdosed on drugs and her son overdosed.
Oh my gosh. See, now I just
can't think of her name.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about, and her son.
Anna Nicole.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. And Nicole Smith. Yeah, that's it. So they're doing that. Well, we were sent down to Los Angeles, Deanna and myself, because we were involved in the Poltergeist movie curse. What happened was this family here in Sacramento purchased the Cabbage Patch doll from the actress who died, the little girl actress that died. I forget what her name was, but and when they purchased this doll on eBay, a lot of their family members became sick. Some family members actually died. So they had me and Deanna go over there and do a cleansing on the doll. And after we did the cleansing, everything calmed down and the curse seemed to diminish. It was gone. So we got contacted by Asylum Studios, and we're going to be in this documentary called Celebrity Mysteries on the Poltergeist movie curse. Because Steven Spielberg went and got real skeletons from India to use in the movie because they were inexpensive and better than getting plastic skeletons. So, and that's how the curse came about. And then they had problems on the movie set. People died. People got sick. All kinds of stuff. So, yeah. So the curse itself got extended. We just got done doing a project with Good Day Sacramento.
Right.
We did a project with Maker Studios, which is owned by Disney Studios. And that's out right now, the documentary. You can actually see it. And the guy is an internet star. His name's Kasem, and Kasem G. And so we did a documentary with them. And that was a lot of fun. And we got some evidence on that. And so anyway, so we did some major projects. Right now, things are a little bit slow because we got the major projects put to the side. So things are kind of slow. So right now we got the house that we're doing Saturday, and we got the Waller Art Gallery. And then Deanna and myself, we scout around. So we're doing an investigation on our own to Niles Canyon. So we're going to go over there, and we heard there's some haunting activity over there, and we're going to find out what the story is. And basically, we're going there as paranormal authors. Whatever story we get from people, we're going to place that into our book. We're not actually doing an investigation. We're actually interviewing and talking to people. So, and that's how we get basically a lot of our stories, like Haunted Sausalito, Haunted Spencer Beach, numerous places where you go to, and the whole world's haunted. But you got to find out what the paranormal activity is in one particular location, and we love doing that. We love listening to ghost stories and UFO stories and cryptid stories. We love that stuff. So yeah,
that's all.
So we're always we find it fascinating. So there's many times Dio and myself will go, okay, let's check out Mount Diablo. There's a lot of stories over there. Let's head out that way. So.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like Amityville or something like that. I mean, it's definitely, again, the Lawler House caught me by surprise. I mean, I mean, I was a believer before that, but after I went there and I experienced what I experienced, man, there's no question.
Well, and just like Preston Castle, everybody's heard about Preston Castle. All those different ghost hunting groups have been over there and everything else. But Preston Castle, we were the first ones doing a documentary over there called Conversations with a Serial Killer. And we got this crazy evidence, and then ghost hunters went there, and Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures went there, and everybody else. But no one even heard of Preston Castle till one documentary is made over there, and then everybody goes nuts.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see on TV or to actually hear on another program. Les has a question, another question. He wants to know: have you had any dealings with voodoo spirits?
What type of spirits?
What voodoo or hoodoo?
Oh, voodoo. We had voodoo and Centuria type of paranormal investigations, and we did have access to a woman who was very knowledgeable about voodoo. In fact, she was actually a federal agent, and her mother was a voodoo priestess. So we had a couple of voodoo cases where we actually got her involved, and basically when we have a voodoo case like that, she was the expert, so I kind of basically let her run the whole operation. But and we were successful, and it was basically a voodoo curse on both cases, and she was able to counteract the curse, and everything was back to normal again.
That's fascinating. Wow. Are you mainly on the West Coast, Paul, or do you go all over? I mean, I know you go all over, like Czechoslovakia, but for an investigation, like say Asheville, North Carolina, would you like go out there if somebody called to your services?
No, with the paranormal hotline, when I get calls from North Carolina, Maine, New York, whatever, I go ahead and suggest for them to call a New York paranormal group, and I'll give them the information and stuff like that. I'm not rich enough to just fly to New York and stuff like that. But like when I go on vacation in Guatemala, Haiti, Amsterdam, or whatever, when I get over there, I start investigating. I find out what's going on over there. So that's how we became international, is by my yearly investigation somewhere overseas. And we cover HPI, Halo Paranormal Investigations. We cover Northern California.
Okay. Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But we do go international, but it's like I'm on vacation, I'm in Aruba, so let me investigate the ghost of Nellie Holloway. And that's how that happens. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean that's the best part of this field, is no matter where you go, there's something going on, or there's something.
Right.
Lynn from Oz, all the way from Australia, she has a question, and she'd like to ask: do you ever ask spirits during investigations if they want to be crossed over, and have you crossed them over?
Right. When I do a house blessing, that's what I'm doing. I'm crossing them over, sending them. I'm sending them into the light. Usually, the occupants want to get rid of them, so it's not a matter of, okay, do you want to go into the light? You're going into the light. So it's a forceful way out into the light. Right.
It's better for not only the occupants of the house, but probably for the spirit as well, to not just stay there in limbo for eternity. She also has another question, and she'd like to know: has anyone attending one of the ghost investigations ever have an attachment?
Right. It's happened a few times. And it's happened a few times. So, and when that happens, then I baptize them. And so, it's happened maybe 6 times. 6 times to 6 different people.
So this is something that you can't just get up and do one day. You really need to be on your toes.
Oh yeah, you got to be on your P's and Q's. Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Cross every T and dot every I. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than doing the baptisms, when a person's been attached, is there anything that they can do if they don't know about the baptism? I mean, can they do their own baptism, or I mean,
Well,
How
they can
how would
do
they
their
know?
own. They can do their own house cleansing. They can go to a Dollar Tree store, pick up some angel figurines. Take those angel figurines to a Catholic church where they have holy water. They usually have holy water in the lobby, and dip each angel figurine into the holy water and say a protection prayer. The protection prayer could be something like, I ask for God and his angels, please protect me, protect my family, protect my home through this angel. Take those angels after you dip them in holy water and place them around windowsills and around doorways, any type of opening in your house. And then walk in the middle of the house, take charge, say another protection prayer. I ask for God and angels, protect me, protect my family, protect my home. Any type of portal in this home must be closed. Any type of entities in this home must leave. They're not welcome here. And spray holy water all over your house, and that's how to protect your house and your family. And then if you have an attachment, go talk to your pastor, get baptized.
And a lot of this has to do with the person's own faith. I mean, not necessarily faith in the religion or or whatever they believe in, but I mean faith in that this is what's going to work.
Right. And if you do belong to another religion, you got different beliefs and everything else, then consult the head of your church and find out what necessary steps you need to take.
That's amazing. Paul, this has been a fascinating evening. I really appreciate you taking the time out. And if possible, perhaps you can hang out a little bit after the show and we can talk a little bit more. In closing, is there anything that you would like to put out there again? Maybe your website and your hotline phone number again.
Okay. And David, after the show though, I have to start getting ready because I work for the Department of Fish and Wildlife, so I have to get a bunch of stuff ready. So I'm going to actually get off pretty soon. But yeah, my website is www.jazma, Jazma, online.com, and my wife's website is www.teardropsofangel.com, and she has some paranormal books that you can actually upload for free on her website.
That's awesome. Thank you very much again, Paul. We appreciate you taking the time out.
And David, I'm going to see you at the Lawler Art Gallery.
Oh, yes, you will. I will be there for sure, and I will be prepared.
Okay.
And I'll definitely have my first report sent to you here within the next couple of days. Thanks again, Paul. Appreciate it.
Sounds good, my friend. Okay. Take care.
You have a great night.
Okay, you have a great night, too. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow. Paul Dale Roberts, everybody. That was an awesome, awesome show, in my opinion. I've learned a lot, and particularly, spirits don't play around. But thanks again, everyone, and I'd like to thank everyone for listening and participating. Thanks to Les and our producer, Holographic. Thank you, everybody that was in the show that had questions and out there on Twitter. All you Beyonders, you all rock. Thanks again. And I'd also like to thank my good friend Alan Hall, who writes and plays some of the bumper music and the closing music. Also, a big round of applause for Brian Anderson's voice. Brian, you are with us no matter what. Until next time, be safe, be happy, but most of all, be strange. Have a great night, everyone. Good night.